If you watch the news, aka fake news, you'll see a lot of clips of Trump's February 28th rally in South Carolina. It's here, among other places, that Trump called the virus, or at least the reporting of it, a hoax. Let's take a closer look at that rally and answer the question: was what Trump said really that bad? Yes, it was. First, some background. What was going on February 28th, 2020? Worldwide, Corona had killed 2,800 people, with 83,000 cases worldwide. The US had 68 confirmed cases of Corona and was hours away from its first death of a man near the Seattle area. We also knew at the time several important things. It spread easily, it spread by people who didn't show symptoms, it killed at a rate of 1 to 4%, and we didn't really know who in the US had it. This information wasn't invented by the media. It was reported by the World Health Organization and the CDC. The CDC is part of the Department of Health and Human Services, which is a cabinet-level department of Trump's administration. It was also capturing the attention of Trump. Here's the front page of the New York Times on February 27th. Trump just chose Mike Pence to lead the coronavirus response. So in summary, on February 27th, this much is 100% true. Corona was in the US, we knew it was spreading, we knew it killed, and Trump was paying attention to it, so he must have known the above. Now, with that as background, let's listen to what Trump said on February 28th in South Carolina.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. You know that, right? Coronavirus. They're politicizing it.
Maybe Democrats were critical of Trump's response to coronavirus, but it's not clear why that critique was political. Also, ridiculous to say Democrats are politicizing corona when he's criticizing Democrats about corona at a campaign rally.
We did one of the great jobs. You say, how's President Trump doing? They go, oh, not good, not good. They have no clue. They don't have any clue. They can't even count their votes in Iowa. They can't even count. No, they can't. And this is their new hoax. But so a number that nobody heard of, that I heard of recently, and I was shocked to hear it, 35,000 people on average die each year from the flu. Did anyone know that? 35,000. That's a lot of people. It could go to 100,000. It could be 27,000. They say usually a minimum of 27 goes up to 100,000 people a year die. And so far, we have lost nobody to coronavirus in the United States. Nobody. And it doesn't mean we won't, and we are totally prepared. It doesn't mean we won't. But think of it. You hear 35 and 40,000 people, and we've lost nobody, and you wonder, the press is in hysteria mode. CNN.
He compares coronavirus to the flu, saying, well, about 35,000 people die each year of the flu, and no one yet has died of corona in the US. So why is the media going into hysterics? First, the media, as well as some local and state governments, had done the research and saw what happened in other countries, and knew it was only a matter of time that the cases and death toll would rise dramatically. Within 45 days of his speech, the death toll in the US had gone from 0 to 20,000. Second, by comparing death to the flu, he implies that a small number of deaths don't matter, that this is just part of the world in which things happen. But that's not how he treats death when, say, an illegal immigrant kills someone in the US. Even though those numbers are tiny compared to the flu, those deaths seem to matter quite a lot, while any future deaths from corona are just part of the world where things happen.
We are you take a look, magnificently organized with the best professionals in the world. We're prepared for the absolute worst. You have to be prepared for the worst, but hopefully it will all amount to very little. That's why I tell you, when we have the flu with 35,000 people, and this one is, we have to take it very, very seriously. That's what we're doing. We are preparing for the worst. My administration has taken the most aggressive action in modern history to prevent the spread of this illness in the United States. We are ready. We are ready. Totally ready.
None of what Trump just said was true. They weren't ready as evidenced by the following 30 days, and they certainly didn't take the most aggressive action against the virus. South Korea had its first death on the same week as the US, but took more dramatic action before and after. On the same day as the Trump rally on February 28th, South Korea told all of its citizens to stay home wherever possible and avoid all public events. They also had a robust testing program. By mid-March, South Korea had tested 5,200 people per million inhabitants. The US had tested just 74. By mid-April, for each million residents, South Korea had 203 cases and 4 deaths. The US, meanwhile, had over 1,675 cases and 203 deaths.
That I initiated the first federally mandated quarantine in over 50 years. We had to quarantine some people. They weren't happy. They weren't happy about it. I want to tell you, there are a lot of people that not so happy, but after 2 weeks, they got happy. You know who got happy? The people around them got happy. That's who got happy.
By the end of February, the US had quarantined several hundred Americans. This included 338 passengers who were stranded on the Diamond Princess cruise. However, a week before the South Carolina rally, the chief medical officer of the Department of Homeland Security, Dr. Duane Caneva, had already determined correctly that the United States had already lost the fight to contain the virus and that it needed to switch to mitigation.
I also created a White House virus task force. It's a big thing, a virus task force. I requested $2.5 billion to ensure we have the resources we need.
$2.5 billion is just 10% of the yearly budget of NASA and 4% of the yearly budget of the Department of Education. The smallness of the number shows a complete lack of awareness by Trump of how massive the challenge was in front of him.
Over 121,000 new jobs have been created right here in South Carolina. We've lifted 10 million people off welfare, including 7 million off of food stamps. And that's a good thing, not a bad thing. They're working and they have great jobs and they love getting up in the morning and they're making much more money. And it costs our country nothing. We make money, but they pay taxes. It's a whole different deal. Median household income has reached the highest level in the history of our country. The unemployment rate nationwide has hit the lowest rate in over 50 years. The average unemployment rate for my administration is the lowest for any U.S. president in recorded history. How about that one? That's a good one. That's a good one.
This is a lot of what's driving Trump's coronavirus policy, or lack thereof. His whole election strategy is anchored on a strong economy. This is what he needs, in his view, to ensure re-election. The problem is that Trump can't wish it away, and he can't lie it away. It's here, and it's only getting bigger. If coronavirus torpedoes the economy, which it is, and if Trump mishandles corona, which he is, it's unclear what remains of his presidency, of his argument for another 4 years. In the South Carolina rally, Trump talked for 74 minutes. He spent 19 minutes talking about his political opponents, 12 minutes celebrating the economy and members of his party, and 8 minutes talking about border security with Mexico. He spent a total of 3 minutes on the coronavirus. Trump's tragic mismanagement of corona and the impact on the United States in terms of jobs, the economy, and lives is plain to see in that February rally in South Carolina.